A SOC manager asks a simple question: can we detect the behaviors used by the groups that target us? The team opens the SIEM. There are hundreds of rules. Some fire daily. Some have not fired in a year. The dashboard is green, but nobody can say what attacker behaviors are covered. That is where SIEM MITRE ATT&CK mapping helps. It turns a pile of alerts into a coverage map. Not a trophy wall. A working map that shows what you monitor, what you miss, and what deserves attention next. MITRE ATT&CK is a shared language for describing attacker behavior. It organizes activity into tactics, like initial access, execution, persistence, privilege escalation, defense evasion, credential access, discovery, lateral movement, collection, command and control, exfiltration, and impact. Techniques sit under those tactics and describe specific behaviors defenders may observe. SIEM MITRE ATT&CK mapping means you connect each SIEM detection rule to the ATT&CK technique or techniques it is meant to detect. In NIST-style terms, this supports the detect and respond functions. It helps teams understand what their monitoring can see, where response playbooks start, and which risks still need control improvements. Before mapping, SIEM programs often grow sideways. A new incident creates a new rule. An audit creates another dashboard. A new log source creates a wave of content. After a few years, nobody knows whether the rule set covers real attacker behavior or just old tickets. Teams may have 10 detections for one narrow behavior and none for another behavior that appears in recent incident reports. Analysts waste time tuning duplicates while important gaps stay invisible. Attack mapping gives structure to the mess. It lets SOC say, we have coverage here, weak coverage there, and no coverage at all in these areas. That changes detection engineering from guesswork into a backlog. Start with an inventory of SIEM content. Include correlation rules, scheduled searches, behavioral detections, dashboards that create cases, and alert logic used by the SOC. For each rule, write the detection intent in plain English. Then map it to one or more attack techniques. Be strict. Do not tag a rule to a technique just because the words sound related. Next, rate coverage. A simple scale works: none, planned, partial, tested, and operational. Build a heat map by tactic and technique. Mark data sources too, because a rule without reliable logs is not real coverage. Finally, review the map whenever rules change, log sources change, or threat priorities change. A mid-size company reviews recent sector intelligence and sees repeated reports of identity misuse, remote access abuse, and internal discovery after login. The SOC exports its SIEM rules and starts mapping them to attack. They find strong coverage for malware alerts and endpoint quarantine events. The heat map looks thin for valid account behavior, unusual remote access patterns, and discovery activity from standard user workstations. One rule was tagged to several techniques, but testing showed it only worked for one narrow log source. The team prioritizes two new detections: suspicious signing patterns, followed by internal enumeration, and privileged group changes outside change windows. They add playbooks, test with approved simulations, tune noise, and update the heat map. The strength of ATT&CK mapping is clarity. It gives leaders, analysts, engineers, and auditors the same vocabulary. It also exposes overconfidence. A heat map with many colored boxes may still be weak if the detections are noisy, stale, or untested. Coverage does not equal quality. A rule can be mapped to a technique and still miss the behavior because the logic is too narrow. The logs are delayed, or the alert is ignored by analysts. ATT&CK also does not rank what matters to your business. It is a map, not a strategy. Use it to support decisions. Then validate those decisions with detection testing, incident reviews, and measurable response outcomes. This mapping work sits inside the broader defensive stack. The SIEM is the central place where logs, detections, and alert context come together. Endpoint tools may provide process and device details. Identity systems provide sign-ins, group changes, and access decisions. Network tools add connection and flow context. UEBA can help with behavior baselines, such as unusual access patterns or changes in user activity. SOAR can turn confirmed detections into repeatable response steps. Attack mapping connects those pieces by behavior. It shows which tools support each detection, which data sources are required, and where one tool's alert should be enriched by another tool's context before an analyst takes action. Do not begin by mapping every technique in attack. That becomes a spreadsheet project with no operational value. Start with your top threat concerns Use incident history, sector reporting, business systems, and exposed services to choose focus areas. Then map your top 20 or 30 SIEM rules. Pick the rules analysts rely on, not the rules nobody opens. For each one, document intent, log sources, attack technique, owner, test status, false positive notes, and response playbook. Learn basic attack structure, log analysis, detection logic, and validation methods. Keep the rating honest. A partial detection is fine. Calling it complete when it has never been tested is how blind spots survive. Here is the clean version. First, attack gives the SOC a shared language for attacker behavior. It helps everyone talk about the same thing without arguing over tool names or alert labels. Second, mapping SIEM rules to techniques turns detection content into a coverage map. The honest heat map shows strengths, duplicates, weak spots, and missing areas. Third, coverage is not quality. You still need the right logs, sound logic, analyst workflow, and regular testing. If this helped, subscribe to Security Tools Decoded. A new episode drops daily, and this channel also publishes the daily ranked CVE brief, so defenders can see which vulnerabilities deserve attention first.